going. I believe you said Ellie Joss sat in front of his home?
Yeah, Nancy, that's correct. He lives just a few blocks from that Myers Lake, and he says he saw them ride by, didn't think anything of it at the time.
Okay, the 12 to 3 window, I don't know how much that's really helping me because, Ellie, I can't... the grandmother is giving me 11:30 in that same area. Now, if he's saying it's more toward 3 o'clock, now that's helping me. That's giving me 3 more hours. So, where's he getting 12 to 3? Jim Spellman, CNN correspondent, joining me at Myers Lake. Do you know about this Robert Carpenter neighbor?
Again, it's this kind of dead-end area, and if there wasn't an abduction that happened, how would you get 2 girls all the way to the end of it? It's a 10-minute walk from the end of this bike path, at the very least, to the end of it where you might be able to get to a car or something like that. Walking up this hill through a hole in the fence to the side of an interstate seems like an unlikely scenario, but with no other clues being found after all of these intensive searches, it's still a puzzle. I spoke to an investigator today here on site who said it's like the girls just evaporated, Nancy.
So, Liz, give me a mock-up of what Jim Spellman is describing, some type of a diagram that I can look at and show the viewers. So you're telling me, let me go to Jesse Gavin, Jim. Jesse, so what I'm hearing from Jim is that even if somebody snatched the girls from that spot, and this is where the neighbor comes in, this Robert Carpenter person, who spots them through his window. If he spots them more toward 3 o'clock, I think it does help, actually, now that I'm analyzing it. It's got them alive, and it closes the window during which a kidnap could have taken place. It also, more likely than not, rules out any attempt at going swimming in this lake, all right? Because that was always a possibility out there. Now, the scent dogs are telling me that's not what happened. They did not go to the lake. And the grandmother and the mother are telling me these girls are not going to take their clothes off and jump in naked, and they're not going to go in and come home dripping wet. So, to me, their voluntary entrance into that lake is, in my mind, ruled out. That would be like me leaving this anchor desk and hopping into a lake outside of CNN, okay? That's not going to happen voluntarily. So his sighting, if it's closer to 3, actually is helping me. So, Jesse, my question to you, following up on Spellman's comments, how difficult would it be if the girls were snatched? How quickly could they be taken to that road based on their bikes as the point of the snatch?
Well, like Jim said, it wouldn't be the most likely scenario. Obviously, that is kind of an area that's closed off to main roads since it is a bike trail. Obviously, it's very close to an interstate, but it would be kind of tough to get to that interstate. The other thing you got to keep in mind, Nancy, about that interstate is it's being worked on right now. There's a lot of construction activity going on right there, so there's going to be backed up traffic. Traffic is going to be slowed down. So any kind of suspicious activity that happens in that area, it's going to be seen by a lot of people. And obviously, we've only got one person that's come forward says he saw anything that day. So I think that going back to the interstate, that's something that you can probably rule out as well.
With me tonight, literally begging for your help, the grandmother of these little girls that told them to go ride their bikes innocently. They've done it many, many times before. And why not? Are we at a point in America where our children can't ride their bikes in broad daylight at lunchtime on a summer morning, 11:30? Wilma Cook is with us also. 10-year-old Lyric's mother, Misty Cook Morrissey, is also with us. I want to go back to Misty and Wilma. Misty, I've spoken to the grandma. Let me ask you, would your girl have gone swimming? Would she have gone into that lake? Would she have jumped in her clothes or stripped down and jumped in?
I don't think she would have stripped down and jumped in. I don't know if she would have went in her clothes. We've spent the last 6 weeks at a lake swimming, George Whiff Lake. We've gone to Burns Pool a lot. So we've been swimming, I mean, almost daily for the last 6 weeks. You know, so I don't rule out that
would she jump in her clothes?
It doesn't seem likely with her clothes on. That I don't think so.
Well, her clothes haven't been found anywhere. All that's found are the 2 bikes abandoned on that bike path. play cell phone, a cell phone that's been deactivated that you can play games on, and a little purple purse belonging to one of the girls. So they didn't take their clothes off and jumping in their underwear. That didn't happen, or their clothes would have been right there. So my question to you is, would it be out of character for your little girl on a bike ride to jump into the water with her clothes on and her shoes?
That would be out of character. Yes.
Everybody, we are taking your calls. Out to Jason. Hi, Jason. What's your question?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Have any of the parents taken a polygraph?
I understand that the entire family has been completely cooperative. Robin Walensky, anchor with the Blaze, what do you know?
Yeah, that the mother voluntarily went in, and other family members, the father as well, and they have been cleared. Nancy, I just want to point out one thing that has not yet been mentioned tonight, and that is that there are 10 sex offenders living in that town of about 5,000 people, and they too have been interviewed by police, and I understand that they have been cleared. But in a 10-mile radius, Nancy, there are 200 plus registered sex offenders.
Wow. Alicia lawyers Daryl Cohen and Doug Burns. All right, Daryl, weigh in.
See, we all know that whatever happens, the end of the road is not a good one. It scares me to know that these girls' scents were left when the dog said no. It tells me they were picked up by someone, and I think it was probably voluntarily. That frightens me because it tells me that something happened where these girls went to someone on their own volition.
Doug Burns?
I think that's right, and I'll tell you why, Nancy, because the most important thing that I've heard is that these girls did not ever ride as far as that lake. So working off the previous point, the point is, it seems to me that they may have been grabbed, and then the bikes and them taken into that area, and the bicycles deposited in the area of the lake, and that's extremely troubling.
With me tonight, the girl's grandmother and the mother of 10-year-old Lyric. Everyone, our family album back, showcasing your photos. Here are our Michigan friends, the Hilliard Turgeons.
Vanished into thin air. 8-year-old Elizabeth Collins and 10-year-old Lyric Cook. They went for a bike ride, then simply vanished.
My mom called and said, you know what, I can't find the kids. They've been out riding their bike.
The bicycles were found at a nearby lake hours after the girls were reported missing.
Welcome back. We are taking your calls. 2 little girls ages 8 and 10 vanish on a hot summer morning in the heartland. Straight out to C.W. Jensen, retired police captain, joining me out of Cave Creek. What do you, C.W.?
Well, Nancy, I'll give you one more theory. I worked a case about 20 years ago where 2 boys, 8 and 10, were sexually assaulted and then murdered in a park on Labor Day. This guy was able to go up, and they were brothers, but neither one of them would leave the brother's side. So to give you one more scenario that's chilling, you know, the girls are friends. They may not have wanted to leave the other one, might not have known what to do. So in my mind, since I've worked a case like this, I could see one suspect being able to take 2 girls.
Now to Dr. Leslie Sapini, clinical psychologist and author. Dr. Sapini, what do you make of the theory earlier advanced that it was someone the girls know, hence there would not be that much difficulty leading them down that path, even from the point of their bicycles?
Well, it's quite possible that they knew the person and they felt comfortable with the person, and the person may have said, hey, I can take you on a bike path and we can have a lot of good times. However, what the gentleman just said before, I think is really very interesting, because there is a case in which just a few months ago they showed on the Today Show how one man with an ice cream truck was able to lure 5 boys onto the truck. And they did it to show how easy it is if you have one kid that the other kids feel loyal or feel that they have to find and trace and be with the other kids. So it is very possible that this was one person. One thing that I have a question for the parents is, did these girls have a routine? In other words, was it common for them to go bike riding and go to grandma's house so many times a week? Is it possible that somebody in the area had been watching them? Because it seems like this was very well organized and planned for these girls to get to Myers Lake, to disappear. There's no footprints, there's no other traces for the dogs. So this had to be very well organized.
Good question. Let's go to Lyric's mom, Misty Cook Morrissey, also with us. The grandmother, Wilma Cook. Was that their pattern, Miss Wilma?
No, it was a no pattern because we were always at Heather's house in the morning, and they could have went for a bike ride, maybe 9 o'clock for a short bike ride and come back. And there was no pattern. And then another thing I want to say is down by the lake, going not the bike path, somebody could have snatched them along the road. If there was two people with a van, they could have threw those kids in the car with their bikes. And there's another way to drive up by the houses and get to the end of that trail, and they could have took the bikes down there with the children.
To Mr. Cook Morrissey, explain to me again what Miss Cook is saying. I think I get it, but I want to understand it as it relates to that bike path and where the grandma's home is.
Okay. Okay.
So what is she saying?
I just started the job at Casey's, so the last 5 days, Lyric and Elizabeth have been playing at Heather's every day, taking bike rides. So as far as a pattern, yes, could somebody have been watching them there and seen that they play together, they hang out together this last week? Yes, that could have happened. What she's saying is, at the end of the U that you were shown, the trail comes around here. The bikes were found here. You come to the end of it. This branches out into a wooded area, and right here is a big patch of grass where you can pull your vehicles up onto, and that's where we parked our vehicles to get back on the trail and go back this way. So that's what she's saying, that someone could have very well come into that grassy area on the south side of the trail that ends as far as being able to walk or ride a bike.
Okay, Jim Spellman joining me there at Myers Lake. Okay, this is the first time hearing of a quasi-parking area on a grassy turf near where the bikes were discovered. Would that have been access for someone to park there, dump the bikes, and keep going?
It could connect. It sort of connects the neighborhood actually quite close to the police station, to this back end. That would definitely have to be somebody who was waiting there, because the bike path and the direction that the scent dogs went would lead them down this bike path. Someone would have to know that they were there to be on that end, almost ready to intercept them, Nancy.
Of Indianapolis. Dr. Carter, thank you for being with us. Well, if there is evidence in the water, how could or would it destroy DNA or forensic evidence?
Generally, fresh water is not going to destroy DNA evidence. It may cause some artifacts. You want to look very carefully at anything recovered from the water and compare that with known artifacts that happen. As much as they can recover, they're going to have to use and utilize to find these little girls and whoever did something to them.
Dr. Carter, what about the heat? It was over 90 degrees that day.
The heat's going to be a problem. There's going to be artifacts because DNA is protein. It does break down, but those trained investigators are used to dealing with those artifacts, so anything they can find will be of help.
Right in Evansdale, Iowa on Friday.
And they play together every day.
Disappeared in the thin air in broad daylight.
It really hits close to home.
We're bracing for the worst, but hoping for the best.
Out to the lines, Phoenix, Iowa. Hi, Phoenix. What's your question?
Hi, Nancy. First, I would like to say I'm a very huge fan of yours, and your twins are just beautiful.
Thank you.
My question is, what evidence are they expecting, or what is it that they're expecting to find by searching vehicles at this point? Is there something specific, or...
Good question. Jesse Gavin, News Director, KCNZ in Cedar Falls. What's the answer to that, Jesse?
Well, I think they're just looking for whatever clues they can get, Nancy. Obviously, to this point, there haven't been many. They found the bikes, they found the purse, they found that deactivated cell phone. At this point, that's all that law enforcement really has to go off of. So I think that the stopping the vehicles, that's kind of a dual-purpose thing. A, it's to get people aware of the situation, to give them some of these missing posters that we're seeing all over town here in the area. Secondly, it's just to see, what they could possibly find, casting a wide net.
To Misty Cook Morrissey, this is Lyric's mom. What is your message tonight, Misty?
Be on the lookout. Look for our kids. Look for anything that's strange. Keep your eyes open. And then definitely contact the police if you see that. That's our message. We just want everybody to get involved, and the more coverage we can get, the more people we have out there with their eyes open, the better.
And to you, the grandmother, Wilma Cook, what is your message tonight?
I just want my kids home, grandkids. I want everybody to try to find them. I want them alive. I want them back home with me. I want to thank everybody for everybody's help out there. They've been just fabulous. All the friends and the churches and everything.
Wilma, when you saw them ride away that day, what was your last image of them?
Just the normal image. Don't be gone very long. And we realized they left at 11:30. By 12:30, we were not happy because they weren't back. And that's when Kelly, my 12-year-old grandson from Heather's house, the dad was home, so we went searching right away. And by 2 o'clock, Heather couldn't find him either. So she went straight to the police station, and the police went out right away.
Tip line 319-232-6682. There's a nearly $16,000 reward. Let's stop and remember.